recording. Action. Get up out of my seat. That's it. Oh, we didn't have the click. Yeah. What you do. Okay. We're back. Week, I don't know what week, but it's a lot of weeks.
Yeah. In the original location again.
And back in the after guest star Finn had too many demands, we had to move it. He felt a little disrespected.
He had a wish list, if you will.
He had Finn Rodgers. Well, wait a second. Maybe it wasn't a whatever it is. Whatever it was. A lot of exciting things in sports last week. We kind of just talked about it a few seconds ago. World Baseball Classic. Now, I think there's a lot to get into the World Baseball Classic. Japan versus Korea, highest watched baseball game of all time in history. Beat any World Series. Pick whatever you want. That was the most watched baseball game. Finals came down to Japan, USA. As we're discussing the game.
Came down to Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani.
Came down to a battle of two teammates. Trout, Ohtani.
Arguably two of the best players on the planet as we speak.
I think you could very easily make that case 1 and 2. I mean, whatever. They're both probably top 5 at the very worst.
Yeah.
I think MLB had them ranked 1 and 2. MLB just did their rankings out 1 and 2. Now, we got to look, because we haven't looked yet. I see our microphone's bouncing a little bit here, but it's okay. We'll make it work.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, it hates us.
Wow.
It's like, it's telling us to get fucked pretty much. But, I think the important, we gotta see, I've been watching a lot of things on Facebook, a lot of comments, a lot of Twitter comments or whatever, and one thing that was brought up was that the World Baseball Classic Final is one of the most exciting baseball games of all time.
That's not even a question.
It's being regarded as one of the greatest at-bats of all time, Trout versus Ohtani.
But yeah, we need to get rid of it. Get rid of the World Baseball Classic.
But there was something else that I wanted to bring up too before we get into that, because I don't understand getting rid of the World Baseball Classic, because they literally do it around the preseason or off-season, whatever you want to call it. I mean, there's fall leagues. I mean, these guys are playing every day anyway.
Spring training.
I mean, are they a little more ramped up than you would want for spring training? I don't know. I mean,
that's why America didn't have big name pitchers going.
Right.
Because of that particular reason.
Right. And I mean,
Max Scherzer's come out and talked about it.
Yeah, because Kershaw backed out too, right? He backed out at the last second because his insurance wouldn't cover it. It was something strange. Yeah. It was I don't remember exactly what the story was.
The big three going into the tournament this year for starting pitching was Adam Wainwright, Miles Mikolas, and Kyle Freeland. Yes. Who, obviously, Wayno's Wayno. He's been what he's been for his entire career. Yep. Miles Mikolas might be the best one of those three. And then Kyle Freeland's like a average to above average pitcher in baseball.
I just checked my phone, too. Wainwright got hurt, apparently, in the final game. He's starting on the injured list. Which is a general...
Really?
I just want to... You just brought up like a couple seconds ago that like people want to get rid of it. That's the reason people want to get rid of it, is people are getting hurt. I just wanted to clarify in case
really?
It says that
he pitched in the semifinal.
Okay, it just says ESPN headline: Adam Wainwright starting season injured list.
Okay.
But to me, it's preseason. Like, if the guys want to play, let them play.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably have an equal chance of getting hurt in a preseason game as a World Baseball Classic
I don't understand
right?
what makes it more or less likely to get hurt. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right, and I mean, like, the last game of the season, or the last final game, whatever you want to call it, like, Ohtani didn't start, right? Like, he didn't start.
Well, because he had pitched... he was pitching on 4 days rest.
Right, so they basically are like, eh.
Him and Darvish both pitched the same game, and they were pitching on 4 days rest, if I'm not mistaken.
If you're a major league team, are you worried about your investment? I'm sure you are a little bit. I don't know. I think it's a weird game to play because, as you could see, teams all across the world were excited.
Oh, absolutely.
Edwin Diaz, sorry Mets fans, but
yeah.
they were beyond hyped to be there. You know, like this was their Super Bowl. You
absolutely.
know, this was worldwide, and I'm interested to see what the rating, because I don't think the ratings are out yet for the final game. But
yeah, I would like to see
the other question that I wanted to throw out there is, if Korea and Japan was the most watched baseball game, why shouldn't America versus Japan, the finals, that should be the most watched. If it's not, I have a lot of questions.
The one stat that I did see was 96 or 97% of Japanese TVs were tuned into the World Baseball Classic final.
That's insanity. That's absolutely insanity.
They at least saw Ohtani versus Trout. It was like 96 or 97% of Japanese TVs, which is
great for baseball because
unbelievable.
You know, and there's a couple things on Twitter that I saw, and it was like, wow, I haven't watched baseball in a while. I watched the World Baseball Classic. I wish all the games were like this. I wish it was like this, whatever. But now,
hey, guess what? The postseason is
right. So
the World Series.
I just wanted to back up a little bit because I saw baseball's changing the pitch clock slightly.
Oh.
I don't know because I'll have to pull up the article here real quick of what it was, how they're changing, because I don't think they're changing it this year, but they've already kind of said. But like, if you're Major League Baseball and you made all these rules to make the game more exciting, faster, whatever,
and this was the most popular World Baseball Classic of all time,
you just put in the most popular World Baseball
without your pitch clock, without your.
I'm just throwing it out there. Ohtani versus Trout with a pitch clock, was that exciting?
No, absolutely not.
There was a lot of games being played, like stepping in, stepping out, getting ready, holding them there for a second, stepping out. Like, there was a lot that went into it that made it very exciting.
Which is why I understand that people want the game to be faster, but you're losing a big part of the essence of baseball that way.
I'll tell you what, there's this guy on my Facebook, and this is, I don't know if this is going to be super relevant, but I think it's relevant. So he talked about how he hasn't watched baseball since he was a little kid. Hates the rule changes. Watched the World Baseball Classic and loved it. So it's like, okay. So you didn't watch. So baseball changed the rules. So now you're watching a form of baseball that didn't have the rules. Like, that's part of the I would hate to say it, but that's part of the problem. Like, if you enjoy the sport, I mean, I'm not saying you should have to watch it or buy tickets or anything like that. But, like, you can't not watch something and then bitch and complain that the rules got changed. Because then it's like, I don't want to say you're part of the problem.
But you are.
But you kind of are. And I think the World Baseball Classic, because we were talking about in our group chat where I was like, hey, like, the ratings are down for baseball. That is why they changed these rules. Your brother got a little bent out of shape about it. But I mean, I think it's all relevant information because now the World Baseball, that's all people are talking about, is the World Baseball Classic. And it's like, hey, like, this baseball does exist. Watch the playoffs, watch whatever. But and maybe people are watching it because, like I said, a couple people are like, oh, I watched this because it doesn't have the stupid pitch clock. It doesn't have the stupid rules.
Yeah,
and
now you're watching it in spite of the rule changes.
So now you're watching it in spite of the rule changes. You weren't watching it before, and had you were watching it before, it just doesn't make any sense. And that was kind of what I just wanted to come back to because I thought there was a lot of information involved because it was super exciting. Anybody who watched it said it was super exciting.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
I mean, we have it up in the bar here all the time, and people came in, and nobody thought, oh, this is dumb. Everybody's like, oh, this is kind of cool. You know, it's like the world. But Japan wins. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. And it's kind of cool, like, you Darvish, Tani. Like, you start, like, seeing the names of a lot of guys that are in the majors. So.
I mean, honestly, though, there was maybe one or two other Japanese players that are going to be playing in the majors this year. Other than that, it was Japanese League Baseball players. It kind of shows, like, hey, yeah, the MLB is the creme de la creme, but Japan can't be too far behind us.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, like, even if you send over, like, even if the top 3 U.S. pitchers were over there, like, you still couldn't score any runs.
Yeah,
like,
you
only scored 2 runs. Like, there's against a very loaded U.S. lineup. I mean,
everywhere you looked in that lineup, it was scary.
Yeah, I mean, prime Mike Trout. I mean, I don't know if he's still prime because he keeps missing games. Yeah. But I mean, USA was loaded. They were loaded. They scored 2 runs in the finals. Super exciting.
2 runs on 9 hits. I could not get anybody across with runners on.
No.
Unbelievable.
No. Because, I mean, Trout had a double in the first inning with 1 out. Couldn't get him home. Or, I don't know. But it's like they had guys on second base. Just couldn't bring them in. But, yeah, no, like I said, I'm excited to see what the ratings come out to be because I think it was for an off season of a lot of problems with baseball, that this was a good relief to say, hey, you know what? We can still watch the game. We can still enjoy it. Absolutely. I don't want to say it's a regular season rule, but, I mean, I feel like 162-game season, people are complaining they're not tuning in every day. That's one thing. But at the end of the day, last year and, I mean, you could dice it up however you want to dice it up, but the World Series is the lowest rated World Series in history. most streamed World Series in history. So there's still a lot of viewers, but the amount of people. Someone first-time chatters offering us promotion. Goodbye.
How much?
Yeah, how many? You gonna pay us or what? How does this work? I think it's the other way around. But either way, I think it's super exciting for baseball. I think this was a great start for a season where I think a lot of people are going to be tuning in to now. Hey, we're fired up. The season starts in a couple weeks. Like we're getting real close to it. So
April 1st.
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
April 1st, opening day.
Opening day, yeah. Like I said, and a lot of people. The backlash is, just to recap it, people are getting hurt. People get hurt in the preseason. People get hurt. I mean, NFL, they shortened the season. It's shortened. Pretty much, they don't even play in the preseason anymore.
Yeah.
And then people come out week 1, 2, and 3, and they're flat, and everyone's like, "Oh man, this is crazy. You're professional athletes. How could this happen?" It's just a thing I think it's just a sports world thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if teams started putting things on pitchers that they can't pitch in the World Baseball. That I wouldn't be shocked about if that happens in the future.
It's gonna be upsetting.
That would be upsetting. I just throwing that out there that's something that I could see happening.
Then you and I'll have to be 1-2 of the U.S. rotation.
Yep, throwing I'll be like what was it, Greinke with the Eufus pitch or whatever, like the 44 mile an hour.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to add besides I think that was a great thing for baseball.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it was the best case scenario where we had the most tuned in off season because everybody wanted to bitch about the rules.
But it's still getting people talking about it.
But it's getting people talking about it.
I don't know.
So I think this was a fantastic off season for baseball. Major League Baseball's already come out and said, "Hey, we got to fix the pitch clock a little bit." So wiggle room. But either way, I think it was great for baseball.
Yeah,
this
I think
off season was great for baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
The New York Jets. We kind of have to, right? Brett, is this your fault? Hang on. Let me take that back because I don't want to be like Pat
there's something that is your fault.
Allegedly,
it's your fault.
You can have, what do you want? What do you want from me? I'll pull my change out. You can have it.
There is things allegedly that are your fault. We're not going to blame this.
How are we now, 2 weeks into this? No trade has been made.
Listen,
I think
the Packers are the most complicated team I think that I've ever experienced because they hate Rodgers. They want him gone. He stinks. But yet they're squeezing everything they can. It's like you don't want him there.
And
you made that abundantly clear.
I think that, and I actually was going to text you this morning because I saw it pop up this morning, and I don't know if you're aware of this. Allegedly, the Jets are going after Matt Stafford as well.
Oh.
I was not ready for it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's truth to this. However,
that seems like an interesting pick to go after somebody who was injured all year last year.
Yeah, because it was an anonymous source. So Green Bay might not get much. The Jets don't have any leverage, yet Lamar Jackson and a newly interested Matt Stafford could both be in play.
Well, Lamar's always been there. I mean,
Lamar's always been there. I don't know.
I don't know if the Jets would. Yeah.
There's so much here.
I mean, Lamar, all his stuff is.
I see we have Rodgers to the Jets. It won't matter if D Hop's in Buffalo. That is something that I do want to talk about though, because Hopkins
looks like he's going to Cowboys.
Looks like he's going. Well, no, the one that this morning was, I think Schefter was hinting that he's going to be a Patriot.
Oh yeah, I have heard.
I have heard that. I don't know, where he goes is going to be very important because.
If it's anywhere in the AFC East,
let's be honest. If he goes to the Bills, all of a sudden you've got Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, Knox. All of a sudden you're like, oh shit, we got a problem here.
Yeah.
And I think and I'm not shitting on the Bills for this. The Bills signed McGovern, the center, who is the number one pass blocker center in the league, worst run blocking center in the league. They don't care about running backs, clearly. So
Singletary's gone. They're running James Cook out there.
They're running James Cook. They're whatever. They don't care. Maybe this is going to be a new thing that's coming because I've been complaining all the time about how running backs don't matter. But we'll get to the Bills in a second, though. I saw King Miles chimed in, so you had to throw in there. The Aaron Rodgers situation has gotten out of control. Yeah. Yesterday, the Jets traded Elijah Moore to the Browns. Basically swapped second-round picks, whatever you want to call it. They moved up 30 picks.
I mean, Elijah Moore kind of, I don't know, he wasn't going to play over there anyways, especially these acquisitions that they're getting.
But then I have a lot of questions now, because if this trade is coming, right, Elijah Moore would have looked real good at Green Bay.
He wasn't going to play over there anyways.
Yeah. Where are we where you're he's a former second-round pick, had a really good rookie year. Last year, he's like, dude, fuck Zach Wilson, I'm out. Like, I can't play with this dude. He sucks. I don't get the ball, whatever.
The oldest receiver on Green Bay's roster right now is 24 years old.
He's a former second-round pick, had a really good rookie year. Now, I mean, but so what are we doing now with the Jets? Because you basically are like signed McCole Hardman, who I think is a very good player.
Stud. Underrated stud.
For what you're going to pay him compared to, like, say, a Christian Kirk for $18 million.
Give me McCole Hardman every single day.
So you have,
and twice on Sunday.
I mean, like, so the Jets are allegedly offering, like, basically a handbag of candy, maybe a fourth round pick, maybe the hat here, maybe Brett Favre's old jersey. They're basically offering peanuts. Packers want 2 firsts. At least 1 first and a conditional.
Which I don't think is out of the question. So, I don't understand.
So I'm just going to throw this out here. So in the history of football, in the history of the league, you take a look at whatever the last trade was, and you give something similar, if not more. Mm-hmm. It's very rarely ever less.
Yes.
I'm just going to throw this out here. So Matt Stafford got 2 firsts.
He had a ridiculous contract. Or Goff had a ridiculous... Like both of them were getting paid ridiculous money.
What are we doing? So
you went through and restructured all these people. You're trading all these people away. You've got all the cap space you could ever dream of.
And I think if you're Green Bay, and you say I want a first and a conditional pick. Conditional pick, maybe it's a 3rd rounder, maybe it's a 4th rounder. If Rodgers plays more than a year, it goes to 2 firsts. I don't think that's what Matt Stafford got.
Yeah.
That's like. And Matt Stafford was nowhere in the league of Aaron Rodgers until he got to the Rams. Like, he had a great year with the Rams, won the Super Bowl, whatever.
Well, people just hadn't watched him. He was in Detroit.
Right, but I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, if you look at their numbers side by side from Detroit, it doesn't matter, Detroit, whatever, you would be like, okay, Aaron Rodgers is clearly the better quarterback. He won a Super Bowl. Stafford couldn't win a playoff game. Not saying it was his fault, but I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna put a price tag on Matt Stafford, his price tag would have been less than Aaron Rodgers, right? Yeah. Like, that's just, if you go to the store, that's that's just how it was. So the Jets basically skip all of free agency. I don't want to say basically skip all of free agency, but like Gardner, they didn't pick up Gardner Minshew. They didn't pick up Mike White. They didn't pick up Tyler Heineke. They didn't pick up anybody that would have been I don't want to say a 1B, because I don't think they're going to be like ever elite starters. I think they could be in the 20 to 27 range. They could win you a couple games. They won't lose you any game, like somewhere in that range. So you're like, nope, I'm done. You have ties to Jimmy Garoppolo. You're like, nope, don't want him. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. They could. If the Raiders came out with that offer, like, you can't really, whatever. Come out, hey, we're not going to negotiate $70 million. Goodbye, sign, see you later.
Yeah.
Kind of linked to Derek Carr. Derek Carr went there. They didn't even offer him anything. They go to New Orleans. We don't care if this.
And then New Orleans said, here's your bag, Mr. Carr.
Yeah, here's your briefcase full of money. It's yours. Keep it. So the Jets now have played this game with Aaron Rodgers.
I'm not understanding.
I don't understand, and someone's going to have to explain this to me, and I hope after his playing career is done, we get some sort of resolution, because you meet with Aaron Rodgers 3 weeks ago, or 2.5 weeks ago, whatever it was, on a Monday. You fly out to California, you meet him again on Tuesday. Then you meet with the Packers Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you don't hear anything. Free agency starts. Tuesday, he goes on the Pat McAfee show. I want to be your New York Jet, or I'm done. Okay.
Well, he said he was playing one more year, but he would like to play for the Jets,
Essentially, yeah. So, what happened in those 11 days? Did the Jets just be like, yeah, we want Rodgers, cool, well, we'll figure it out later? Is that what happened? Because if that's what happening, like, you have to blame the Jets, you have to blame Green Bay. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, whatever, at whatever point you want to blame him, that's at this point is irrelevant.
Yeah.
He made his intentions clear. the president of the Packers came out and said, hey, we are looking to honor Aaron Rodgers' request. Everybody seems to be on board on
And here
this.
we are, 9 days
And
later?
here we are now, an extra 9 days after that, and we still don't know.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers is on the show, and he's like, hey, they asked, this wish list stuff came out. Oh, this is the wish, whatever. And it's like, okay, he's like, well, yeah, they asked me who I wanted, and I just basically said, here's guys that I think would be a good asset to the team.
Like, yeah, because if he's...
Is that
the
a wish list?
guys they all listed off, Rodgers isn't going to talk bad about him.
Right.
If they're asking him questions about him, he's like,
Especially
yeah,
if they're
good players,
especially
whatever.
if they're free agents. Like,
yeah.
And now...
Good players love to play with them, things
and again,
like that.
If, like, what's the holdup here? Did the Jets just move up to grab number 41 or whatever? Like, did they basically give away Elijah Moore to get a 40 pick to try to get out of giving out a first-round pick?
I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, if you're Green Bay, if you're taking a second this year, you got to get a first next year. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. Like, you can't. If you don't, you're basically are saying, hey, you know what? We did all of this just to stick it to Aaron Rodgers the last 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe at this point that wasn't their plan, but maybe they're just going to be like, hey, we'll take whatever we can get for him. But there's a lot that goes into this. You can't just be like, fuck it, I'll do whatever I want. Because that's kind of what it seems like right now. And you get Alan Lazard, you have Garrett Wilson. Now you trade Elijah Moore away. So now you're like, okay, so you pick up Hardman. Probably he's going to be your slot, gadget, deep threat. Let's see. Would the asking price for Rodgers be more than Lamar? Well, that's a thing that I think there's a lot more issues with Lamar Jackson because the Jets could go after Lamar Jackson.
There's so many logistical issues right now with Lamar that I don't understand.
The problem with Lamar Jackson, and this is, I think something's going to happen after the draft. But the issue with Lamar Jackson is if the Jets say, hey, we want Lamar Jackson. First, you got to get Lamar Jackson to agree to a contract. It looks like he wants 5 years, 250, at least $200 million guaranteed. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money for a guy who's missed a lot of games the last 2 years. Now, let's just say if the Jets did that, I would not be shocked. I would actually be like, hey, you know what, Green Bay, fuck you. This is what we're doing. Yeah. But then the problem is now they have 5 days to match.
Yeah, and the Ravens say, hey, get fucked. This is my guy now.
So if the Ravens honor it, you're even more fucked now with the Jets. Like, you're even more screwed
because
over.
Then the Packers go, oh, so now what do we do?
I mean, and but Lamar Jackson's a weird case. Lamar Jackson's getting punished because the Browns are fucking idiots. Yeah. Like, that's just how it works Deshaun Watson got his guaranteed contract, and it fucked everything up because now Kyler Murray wants his money. And we saw what happened with Kyler Murray with his contract. I mean, he got way overpaid. They took out clauses in his contract.
He's getting real good at Call.
He's getting real good at Call of Duty. So I think that's the Lamar Jackson issue right now with the guaranteed money because he said that the Ravens offered him 3 years, 133 guaranteed, all guaranteed. That's a bullshit offer. Like, that's not real life offer. If that's what they offered him, he's smart to reject it. I mean, it's easy for us to say because if someone said, hey, Adam, I'll give you 133 million, I'm like, sign me up. What do you want me to do? You want me to die out there? Yeah, I'll take one for the team. But that's the problem is Lamar Jackson, he has to get $50 million a year.
Yeah.
And that's where this whole hold up is. So the Jets could also go after Lamar Jackson, but here's what happens if you go after Lamar Jackson.
All your eggs come out of the Aaron Rodgers basket, they go into the Lamar Jackson basket, and then there's no going back to the Rodgers basket.
Because now if you go back, now you're
just looking desperate.
Now you have to give them Packers. Yeah, the Packers can just sit there and be like, hey, you know what? Go for it then. I don't care. Because the Green Bay actually gets penalized if they trade Aaron Rodgers. They actually lose $9 million in cap space this season.
Yes.
If they trade him, roughly around there. Do you want something for him? Yes. But at the same time, like, oh, man. This is the way that I'm looking at it is if I'm Gunta Goons, the general manager of the Packers, you're basically, I don't want to say you forced Aaron Rodgers out, but you basically forced him out.
Yeah.
If you trade him for a bag of peanuts, so Cracker Jacks, whatever.
This all confirms the
spicy cheese of Green Bay. If
this all confirms that you just wanted him out and didn't give a fuck about what he wanted.
And there's also, if you have to pick up the 4th-year option before the draft, or the 5th-year option draft for Jordan Love, so your hands are really tied here because if you don't pick up his option, and Jordan Love comes out, plays well, you're giving him a Danny Dimes contract. He's getting 4-year, 160, something in that realm, right off the bat. If Aaron Rodgers retires, it screws up your cap for this year and next year. If you trade him, it screws it up for this year, but not next year. There's a lot of moving parts in here, but again, at the same time, too, is like the coach and the general manager have been all in on Jordan Love. If this doesn't work,
they're the only people that have been all in on Jordan Love.
And you trade Aaron Rodgers for a 3rd-round pick, a 4th-round pick, whatever the Jets were offering, what are you doing? Like, what are you, like... You're probably out the door. You got a new coach. You got a new general manager, right? Like that's kind of where you're
if Jordan Love doesn't reach top 15, top 10 quarterback status immediately,
right?
You threw everything away.
There's a lot of so you've got the general manager trying to keep his job. You got the coach trying to keep his job. You're trying to give Jordan Love a chance. You're trying to not screw your team over next year. For the Packers. The Packers have a lot involved in this. Lamar Jackson, I could see getting offers, but also I've also accepted a couple things about Lamar Jackson. Who? New England, Washington. Who else is going to go after this guy? I can't really think of anybody else. Miami, maybe, but Miami's got to wait till after the draft because they lost their 1st-round pick. Yes. So if you go after Lamar Jackson, you have to have both your 1st-round picks, or you got to wait till after the draft, then you do 1st-round picks. So that is, I think, the big – because, I mean, if they could just agree to the contract and you send them over, I think the Jets would have signed Lamar Jackson at the start of free agency. As soon as he got tagged, if they go, hey, we'll trade you 2 first, we'll pay him the $250 million, he's done and gone. Yeah. The problem is if the Ravens can match it, then you're screwed. You're out of your picks. What do you do with Zach Wilson? I mean, Zach Wilson's a bum anyway, like – but you threw away an early a 2nd overall pick for him. Yeah. I don't know. So, yes, we have to go through it. Yes, we have to go through this again. But I just don't know what the Jets are doing. And then let's further this. Let's keep going unless you have anything more to add to that. But that's a lot of there's really a lot of information there.
Yeah, they're pretty much they've got 2 places that they've got eggs, and then that's it, which is wild to me considering they have a top 5 defense. They have one of the best young receiving corps in football. Breece Hall's coming back healthy. Yeah. Like, they have a legit team.
Yeah. And then I assume a Buffalo Bills fan, but it's also too is if DeAndre Hopkins goes to the Patriots or he goes to the Bills, all of a sudden they could be very legit. Miami Dolphins are in a weird spot because the Miami Dolphins, you look at their team, Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey now, and you're like, oh boy, like they're going to be.
They still don't have a pass rush, though.
They still don't have a pass rush.
They still don't have a rush defense.
I know, right. I mean, I'm not saying that they're a lock, and I also don't like their coach, but we can get into that way later. But all of a sudden, that division is stacked.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if DeAndre Hopkins went to the Bills. All of a sudden, you're like, ooh, like Cincinnati locked down Stephon Diggs in the playoffs, but that's kind of all they had. Like it was, and it was a snowy game. The weather was bad, so you don't have a lot of deep passes. It's hard to get deep passes. So you take out that part of the game, like all of a sudden you throw DeAndre Hopkins, that's a totally different game. Totally different game. But yeah, so I don't know if you have anything else more to add.
No,
that's kind of the final. Did we talk about Zeke getting cut last week? I don't know if we did or not.
I'm not sure if we did, actually.
If not, Zeke gets cut, saves money, see where he ends up. I've heard that he's rumored to be to the Bills.
Interesting.
As a backup running back
for James Conner or James Cook.
For James Cook, I mean, like Zeke, you give him the league minimum, you give him a decent offensive line, and he's your short yardage guy. I think he has some value, but besides that, like
he does the tactical running back skills. He has very good
and I would say the
off-ball running back skills, if you will.
The problem with the running backs, Donta Foreman from the Panthers, now he's on the Bears, signed for $3.5 million. You look at his yards per carry after contact, whatever, and you're like, okay, Zeke's actually really bad. Not that Foreman was amazing; he was really good with the Carolina, and then he went to the Bears, and But it's like Zeke wasn't on his level, and he just got paid $3.5 million. So what's Zeke gonna get?
Yeah,
$1.5 million, $2 million, whatever the vet minimum is, and I could see him going to the Bills, and I could see him getting their short line, but the Bills don't have a running offensive line. They're like, hey, we're a team that we're going to pass it. So I don't know what success he would have, but what a weird ending to his Dallas career where you paid him all that money and then now he's done.
Jerry Jones loved him. He loved everything about him, and all of a sudden he said goodbye.
There was a lot of people that came out against him too, like just Dallas beat writers that were like, oh, he was a menace, he was out of control, he was drunk all the time. Zeke, yeah. And it's like, at this point, Tony Pollard was way better. You save money by You actually save money by franchising Tony Pollard. They just got Brandon Cooks.
That was kind of wild. There. Brandon Cooks was pretty wild. That was a great pickup for them, by the way. I mean,
Damian Harris. I forgot. Damian Harris did go to the Bills.
Damian Harris.
Yes, he did that. I think in this NFL though is two, three running backs, right? Like you have your first, second, third down running back. So I did see that the Bucs were looking at Zeke, but I don't know what Zeke is going to do. He's going to have to try to pick. I think his value is going to be trying to going on a playoff team to try to get his one more contract. But I could be wrong. We'll see who gives him a shot. But I actually like the Damian Harris pickup for the Bills.
Yes.
He's just always kind of injured. That's the only thing that is tough. But if he's the backup, because I like Cook. I thought we talked about it on the podcast when they traded for Naheem Hines. We were kind of like, okay, so he's James Cook, but why? I don't understand. And they use him for a punt return or whatever. Doesn't matter. But Brandon Cooks, that was the trade. He went to the Cowboys. That kind of started the rumors to Hopkins to the East. So I loved it. Brandon Cooks has been a 1,000-yard receiver on like 4 different teams. I think he's the only player that's ever done that. Yeah. Or if not, he's one of the top 2 or 3 that's done that. That was a big pickup. He's going to be your number 2. Gallup goes back to your number 3. Not that Gallup's super crazy good or anything, but I think he's a decent number 3 option.
He's going to be better than he was last year, coming off injury. He was kind of just finding himself all year last year. I think he comes back and plays a better. He has better performance. I think
he has to. But yeah, I don't. Like I said, all of a sudden I think Cowboys were. We talked about in the playoff game. Tony Pollard got hurt, and then you're like, okay.
And then they said
CeeDee Lamb.
They wrapped a blanket around CeeDee Lamb and said you're not going anywhere. And then
and that was it because they had nothing else because Zeke couldn't run. Like he's shot. He can't break a long run. He couldn't break a long play. And Gallup is an okay number 3 option, but he's not going to. If you're like, hey, we're doubling CeeDee Lamb, do what you can to Gallup, and he's like, oh man, like I don't know, this isn't really my thing. But yeah, I forgot that they got moved. Good on the Texans because the Texans traded for him. It didn't work out. They tried to trade him last year. I'm happy they sent him to at least a playoff team.
Yeah. And we'll just have to see how well Dak actually can play quarterback now.
Yeah. Oh, and then the only thing, just because it was Lamar Jackson was brought up, I don't know. Schefter brought it up now 3 or 4 days in a row that Washington was in on Lamar Jackson, and it looked like Washington was going to at least make an offer to Lamar Jackson. But I feel like with Washington, you have Sam Howell's your 5th-round pick that you're like, he's our starter. You got Jacoby Brissett that you brought in as a high-priced backup. Next year, I hate to be like this, but it worked for the Philadelphia 76ers. Sometimes you got to take an L for a season. I think Washington's doing that because next draft, you have Caleb Williams and you got Drake May from UNC, who apparently are supposed to be the cream of the crop. I mean, Drake May was supposed to be the next Peyton Manning. So I think
they got a good team over there,
and they got a good young team over there, and they're paying a lot of money for that defense. I think if they swing and miss on Lamar Jackson, I don't think they care.
Yeah,
I think they're like, hey, we're gonna put out a team. If it's bad, it's bad. If Sam Howell's bad, oh well. I think that's kind of where they're at. But New England is the only team that I think would make a serious offer for Lamar Jackson and then actually stick to it.
But they need to get. You need to get Hop.
Got to get Hopkins.
Before you can even think about getting Lamar, you got to get Hop.
I think that's kind of like a thing where you have like a trade in place. Hey, what's it going to take for Hopkins? Is it a 2nd rounder? Is it a 3rd rounder? You know what their problem was? They shouldn't have came out and said, hey, we're trading him. Because all of a sudden his value dropped. Because then why are you going to pay full price for him? Hey, we're trading Hopkins, we'll take him first. All right, yeah, go ahead. Good luck. Whereas if you're negotiating with a team, I don't know, maybe we'll trade them, and then all of a sudden you start seeing scenarios, well, maybe this, maybe you're late round, whatever. So, that is what it is. Oh, Thielen to Carolina was another one this week. He got paid, 33-year-old receiver. I don't know. He doesn't really fit Carolina's timeline, but maybe he'll be good for whoever they draft. I mean, they had 12 guys at C.J. Stroud's pro day yesterday, so it looks like Stroud's the guy at number 1. But we'll see, because they also got 9 guys going to Bryce Young's pro day.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is, like, if they had any hope of trading down,
they lost it.
It's all gone now because everybody thought it was going to be Anthony Richardson. Colts like Anthony Richardson. They like Bryce Young. Now you kind of limited yourself. Hey, these are the 2 guys you want. Unless Houston wants to flip with you to get their guy. But whatever. That is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Let's go on to unless you want more football, I think we covered a lot of football.
I think we did pretty good there.
Let's see what else we got. I forgot that I have written down. Oh yeah, the NCAA tournament. Man, so
real good up to this point.
Real good. We had a 15 seed win. We had a 16 seed. Fairleigh Dickinson.
15 seed still in it.
14. We had the 14. That if you told me they were real schools, I would have said fake news.
Yeah.
So
Princeton's still dancing.
I think we talked about this before but we talked about this before the tournament started. We were kind of like, who was the team to beat? And we kind of like went through, and Arizona had the upset. But you look at Arizona; they're going to have 2 top 10 picks in the draft. Like, they got super talented athletes. We were kind of like Alabama, but then Alabama, we were like, but Brandon Miller may or may not have been involved in a murder.
That's why I'm not going to say they're the best team left in the bracket, because they've got somebody who was involved in something and shouldn't be playing basketball at this moment.
Still playing, because they determined that, because the recent thing is they determined it wasn't his gun. But I mean, I think the betting odds are Alabama's heavy favorites.
Yeah, absolutely.
Duke lost. We were kind of shocked about that. We thought Duke was going to go well.
Kansas.
Oh, we didn't talk about Arizona, the most winning college player of all time.
That was Virginia.
I'm sorry.
Throws the worst basketball pass I've ever seen.
Like, what are we doing? Is there money on these games? I know that was my first thought. I was like, there has to be money on this game, right? Like, there has to be. I don't know. I was a little didn't understand it.
He was trying to go full court pass from the opposite corner.
I'll turn the ovens on real quick as you keep going.
He's trying to go full court pass from the opposite corner. The most winningest basketball player in Division I men's basketball history. He was on the team that Virginia won the championship on. He knows how to win, and instead of actually trying to scheme up something, you still have a timeout at that point. You could have called a timeout, inbound the ball again, restart the whole thing. Instead, he's trying to who did the sky hook? Kareem. He's trying to Kareem it into the other basket from 94 feet away.
With about 7.5 seconds left, or something like that. 8 seconds left.
He had a timeout.
He had a timeout. I mean, I know they're kids, but he has to know better, right? He's played a lot of basketball.
Yeah,
He's played
a lot of winning
basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I don't know.
Absolutely insane.
But and this is going to be weird too, because Alabama's the favorite.
Yeah.
If they win, it's kind of weird,
Gonzaga is probably number 2.
Yeah.
Gonzaga, UCLA is probably 2-3. Houston 4, I would assume.
Yeah, because Houston's
not that good.
Houston's tough because
they're not that good.
I feel like the last however many years they've been good. You look at their teams that they play against, and it's like they play 1 or 2 ranked teams a year. Yeah. And it's got to be so weird because
they play really good defense, but other than that, they don't.
Right, and I mean, obviously they're a good team because they got a 1 seed and they're winning and they keep winning now. But it's just kind of it's kind of weird because they keep getting in these positions, and it's like, how much do you buy into Houston because they don't really play anybody?
Yeah.
So it's hard. They're not. I don't say they're not battle tested, but it's more like
they're a Sweet 16 team, maybe something more than that.
Right. You see them play all of a ranked team. This is the first time you see them play a ranked team. How do you get a good judge of how far and how, especially in a one and done situation? Yeah. But I don't know if you want anything else to add, but this is one of my more favorite tournaments that I have been enjoying because there's been no clear-cut number 1. There's been no clear-cut superstar.
And honestly, a lot of the teams that I listed off last week have lost.
Yeah.
Teams that I thought were good, legit basketball teams have lost.
I mean,
right now it's Texas, Alabama, Gonzaga, UCLA.
I mean, we were big
on Duke.
We were big on Duke after the ACC tournament. We're like, oh, this is fantastic. We're like, hey, these guys look real good. They made Miami look real bad, and then all of a sudden,
and then they looked real bad.
And then this is going to be a smooth transition because we talked about Alabama and Brandon Miller.
Hey.
Let's talk about another guy.
Nice segue.
Let's talk about another guy waving his gun around real quick. John Morant. No, I don't know if we talked about this.
Mind you, he played off the bench last night.
What was it, 8 games he missed? 8 games?
Maybe 10.
Maybe. I don't,
What are we doing?
We talked about this last week on the podcast about basically the NBA players get to do whatever they want because it's a player-driven league. And we talked about, like, if you turn on ESPN today, turn on TNT, pick whatever thing it is, they're not going to say, hey, watch the Dallas Mavericks play the LA Lakers. It's going to be like, hey, it's Luka Doncic versus LeBron James. They don't do team matchups.
That was yesterday. Yesterday they played the Warriors.
And they played the Warriors.
Kyrie and Doncic versus Steph and Clay.
I know it's a players' league. I get it. John Morant just kind of took over for Kyrie Irving and all of his endorsements for Nike. You let him play. And then you have Jalen Rose do his interview. And I think Jalen Rose, you said it too, like Jalen Rose is a great person to do that because he's going to ask questions, but I don't think he did it to throw Morant under the bus.
No, absolutely not.
I think he did it to, hey, let's make this a good situation for basketball. And I think that's what the interview was.
Jalen Rose is probably one of the best mentors you're ever going to find for a young or a young NBA star in sports media. He is literally the perfect guy to be doing such an interview like that.
And I don't know what I got out of it other than I felt like Jalen Rose was trying to give him every chance to basically say, hey, screwed up, shouldn't have done this, the gun wasn't mine.
And we really didn't get that.
And I don't think we got it, but I don't...
Sometimes he was kind of going down that route, and other times it's like he turned right around and was just heading the other way. And it's like, what are you doing? I think it was
a really hard situation too because NBA rules: you bring a gun on a team plane, you're gone for 50 games, right?
Yes.
That gun clearly on the plane, or at least had it be on the plane. Wasn't his gun. Whose gun was it? Whatever. Now you're like...
A lot of people with guns that aren't theirs, apparently.
Right, but what do you do at that point? You can't... If you come out and you say it's not my gun, whose is it? Well, I'm not saying. Okay, cool. Well, still, the gun was on the team plane.
What happened to possession's 9/10 of the law?
But hey, you know what? Is he protecting one of his teammates? Is he protecting one of his friends?
Know.
At the end of the day, this can't happen.
No.
And... the only reason, and I hate to be like this, but if John Morant was a bench player, if he was a not superstar, he'd be done.
Brandon
Miller, if they weren't superstars, they'd be done.
Because what was Darius Miles or whatever?
Darius Miles, yeah.
Bench player, man, whatever. Goodbye. He was gone.
I mean, I said it last week too. Like NFL, you're pretty much done. Unless you're a quarterback, you're done. Like Calvin Ridley, done. Like think about all the guys that have done stupid shit. They're done. NBA though, it's like it's a stars league. It's just they drive the ratings. They're they're the Nike Golden Boys. They're which is money. Money talks.
It's just I can't stand that.
It's hard to stomach because it's like, wow, man, this guy shattered the team rules. Like he shattered the league rules, and you do these interviews to kind of try to help him, and you send him to therapy and all this other stuff, and it's like.
I never once I don't think I've watched that full interview. I think I only had the 4 or 5 minute clip that you showed me.
Yeah, you could watch it, but it's going to be what you think it is.
Yeah, because even in that little clip, I never had a convincing enough. Statement from Ja to where he disproved any of that stuff.
Right.
It was all like a half-assed kind of semi-pre-written type of thing where it seemed like he was just saying what he was supposed to say. And it's like, at some point, you can't be doing that.
No, you can't. You can't.
Like, at some point, somebody has to be held accountable and made to show, like, this is what's going to happen if you do this.
Absolutely.
Instead, you're just showing these people, oh yeah, you could kind of just do what you want and we'll just eat it.
You better be really good at your specific sport, and you better be at a prime position.
It's just fucking wild to me.
And I just want to go. I don't know if just because I want to stick with basketball for 3 seconds. A sidebar that I've been enjoying was I don't know if you've been watching. It was the Paul Pierce Kevin Garnett interview, and it was I don't know. They were talking about Richard Jefferson. He's like, Kevin Garnett's like, hey, what do you think of Richard Jefferson? They started making fun of him, laughing at him. Paul Pierce like, oh, it's an easy 40. And then Richard Jefferson responds in a
I love Richard Jefferson.
I mean, I don't think you can delete somebody as hard as what I witnessed.
I haven't heard about this.
First, he said, hey, you know what? You're right. Comparing me to Paul Pierce is like comparing Paul Pierce to D-Wade. Shots fired. And then he was like, oh, look at their stretch that he's talking about. He's like, the Heat beat the Celtics 10 out of 11 times, bounced them from the playoffs twice, and got a ring. I love stuff like this. I live for stuff like this. Paul Pierce is a weird dude. Kevin Garnett's a weird dude. Those guys can like not let go of what happened like between the whole Celtics Heat thing, the whole between the LeBron Celtics thing. Like they just can't get over it.
Yeah.
And it's like now you're taking pot shots at Richard Jefferson. Like, cool, man. Like, what are we doing? Like,
Have you seen people that try to do that to Richard Jefferson? Guess what? Richard Jefferson spits in their face.
And he doesn't care. And Richard Jefferson was a very good NBA player. Like, yeah, he wasn't on a all-star, like, superstar level like those guys were.
He played 15, 16 seasons, I think, though.
He played for a long time. He played for a super long time. But I just wanted to cover that real quick, because I thought it was absolutely hysterical.
Richard Jefferson is one of my favorite sports media people on the planet.
Absolutely incredible. And I think a lot of, like, Paul Pierce is, like, first stretch there, he was one of the best, if not the best player. Like, when the year that they won, he was phenomenal. He took on LeBron. I thought he played better than LeBron. Not, like, it was close, but he did what he had to do, like, defensively, offensively. Like, it was great. And it's like, okay, man, like, you got them once. Like, you beat them in a series once. And then Miami, and like, I don't want to say it too, but like Boston kind of started I don't want to say Boston started it, but Boston started the super teams in their prime when you had Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Rondo, Perkins, Ray Allen. Like you looked at their team and you're like, okay, yeah, that's a really good team. Like you loaded your team, cool, like awesome.
And then as soon as Ray Allen went to Miami to follow Braun, they all got mad at him.
And then they're like, we're not talking to him anymore. And Ray Allen's like, that's okay, give me the ring. That's fine.
But I did see just something I think it was Kevin Garnett was talking about that with the whole Kobe situation. I don't know how recent this was or anything, but it just for some reason popped up on my timeline on Facebook this morning. He said that he's really glad that nothing stupid happened like that, and he was able to squash beef with Ray and everything like that, unlike Shaq was fully able to do with Kobe and things of that nature. So I don't know. That was kind of cool. I don't know for whatever reason. I don't know why I saw it. But
well, they got that. I think it's that new. I don't want to say it's that new show that Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce are doing. So like, there's a lot more that's coming out.
But yeah, that was kind of cool to see that earlier today.
So one thing that we didn't list on here that I wanted to get to that I saw this morning, and I messaged you about it and talked to you about it, about the NHL. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to say that we stayed away from controversial topics, but we've been going in on it a little bit. But this one is a little wild.
The gun stuff might be
maybe a little bit. But this one's kind of getting wild. So this all started earlier in the season. Philadelphia Flyers Pride jerseys for their warm-ups. Ivan Provorov refuses to wear it. Will not come out. Absolutely refuses. Today, late last night, somewhere last night and today, Chicago Blackhawks refused to do it. Now, their reasoning is it's very dangerous for Russian players to support. I don't know if it's just I don't know if it's just that. I don't know what it is, but they're like, hey, they're not safe if they wear this. It's against their religion, et cetera, et cetera. Their families could be in danger. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know where this goes from here, but the National Hockey League, which is already not doing great, like it's trying to find something, unless you got Hulu Plus, good luck finding a hockey game. Now you're like, I don't want to say you're anti-gay, but
you're not for gay.
You're not pro. Like you're not. Hey, like I think it's weird because you tried to be, and the first backlash you get from one player, you're like, we're done.
Yeah,
we're done. We fold. If this is not safe, I don't know where to go from here. But we were both reading it here a second ago, and it's like, hey, there's safety issues. Moscow's got loose. They got a lot of family in Moscow. There's a lot of issues over there, and it's like, okay, so now what are we doing here?
So
what are we doing here?
30 years ago, it wasn't safe to be gay. Were you going to ban gay?
Right. And I mean, like, I don't know, and like, I don't know if this is I don't want to say we're past it, but I went on Twitter and searched this, and they're like, hey, like, players wanted to kneel down for the flag, they were allowed to do that. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay. I think this is apples and oranges, I think. Because we're at, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, and I assume at the end of this year, the league is going to not force the team to do that anymore.
Wild.
Right, because I mean, considering how much NHL has backed off of this, I'm assuming this is what happens.
They're folding.
Right, because this is a weird, like, I kind of read it and I did a double take and I was like, okay, like, now what do we do? I don't know if it's because it's hockey, but I don't know if there's any out players in hockey. I know there was on the Raiders, was it Carl Nassib came out a couple of years ago and he played for the Raiders. I don't know if he was on the Buccaneers before, I think. I don't know if he's still floating around in the league.
I'm not sure, but yes, I do know who you're talking about.
But like, I feel like in the NFL, you say, hey, wear this jersey to promote it and you take it off after warm-ups.
You're not going to hear complaint from anybody, I don't think.
I don't think, right? So like now, all of a sudden, we're basically saying, hey, well, we have a decent amount of players from Russia. I don't know if this is like, I don't want to say it's a freedom of speech thing because now you're at like, if somebody wants to wear it, they can wear it, except the NHL is saying, hey, like, now we're not wearing it, it's a safety issue. I don't know. We're getting into very weird, touchy topics, but my thought was...
Didn't the Pope come out and say he's okay? I mean, I know it's different religion, but he's come out and said, hey, if you want to be gay, be gay. This is the freaking Pope.
I mean, we're the freaking... Yeah, I feel like I'm watching Family Guy. It's the freaking Pope.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're in 2023. We have NHL now trying to be progressive. At the first sign of pushback...
being progressive.
At the first sign of any pushback, we're done, we're out.
Yeah, it's like they're a tent because they're fucking folded. Pack it up and you're
kind of
out
weird.
of here. I don't know. I don't like it. Like
I don't like it.
There's plenty of other things that you could be in trouble for that you can't.
I mean, like
you can't.
This is gonna sound stupid, but like NBA. This is gonna sound stupid, but NBA jerseys, they have the logo on there, and you have sponsors and stuff like that. Like, what if a player is offended by cryptocurrency? Like, are they going to be saying, "Hey, yep, I'm not wearing the jersey"? Like, where do you start getting in this? I don't know what the thing is. I'm not saying you should. If you have a thing and it's like, hey, you could wear it and you don't want to force it, and it's not a team jersey, whatever, and you do it for warm-ups, that's one thing. But to just be like, hey, it's a safety risk, nobody can wear it, it's kind of strange. I mean, like, if you want to do the thing, I mean, the only problem is like, okay, here's the warm-up jerseys. We're promoting Pride. Let's say in June, we're promoting Pride Month. If you want to wear the warm-up, wear the warm-up. Some guys wear it, some guys don't. Now all of a sudden, hey, why aren't you wearing it? Hey, why aren't you wearing it? So like, I sort of get it from that aspect.
But this just kind of goes back on society. Society, you can. I don't want to say racist might not be the term I'm looking for here, but you are able to hate certain groups, and other groups it's frowned upon. And I don't understand when it's so similar as such a thing like that. I don't understand where the differentiation.
And I will say,
I don't get it.
I don't want to say hockey's years behind. I don't know if that's the right case, but I am
old buddies.
We're old buddies here. Yeah. We could probably actually close this up. Let's talk about this next week too.
Okay.
Let's close it up, guys. Thank you for joining us. I see we have some viewers the whole time. Fantastic. Till next time, Josh will be back here in a second. We bid you adieu.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.